Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. How are we all doing? Let's just get this all centered. That's a little bit better. Right, let's carry on with our little wolfies. Actually, let's soften this. Oh, I've put all my stuff behind here. Hang on one sec. So much stuff on my desk. Right. I hope everyone's having a lovely day. So just using the Ivory as my underpainting, I guess you could call it that, and just using this little bit of Bistre just to warm up the fur just a little bit. I'm just sort of looking as to how this fur comes across here, so I've got quite a dark bit here, just where there's like a fold in the fur where the leg begins. We have this section here is quite dark as well. If I concentrate on this shoulder first of all, before I do anything else. So I'm trying with this fur, because it's quite a thick fur. I want to get that sort of fluffy, that thick fluffy nature that you're going to get with that thick undercoat. I'm just sort of trying to get that sort of plump, soft, cushiony look to the fur. So that's why I'm keeping the pressure on the paper with the pencil really quite light. And there's going to be a lot of layering before I go in with shadowing, just to sort of emphasize, because you're also thinking about the bone structure under the animal as well. So I'm just sort of trying to keep that in mind. Not press too hard. I don't want any harsh lines. The fur needs to be nice and soft. So there aren't any sharp lines in this animal at all. Like here, when I was doing the shading here on the neck, I tried to keep everything sort of blended and soft, and that's what I'm going to try and do. On this wolf up here, we do have much darker sections with more distinct patterning in, just because the black fur on that animal, if you look at the reference picture, really stands out quite stark, so I wanted to capture some of that. But I think later, when I've got all of the wolves done, I may go in and just soften that, because I do think it's a little bit too sharp. So it's just all about being aware that you may need to go in and change things later, which I am prone to do. I do like to go in and change things, because sometimes you can't see where a fault is until you've got the whole composition done, and that's fine. It's not a fault, it's just something that just needs a little extra attention. Let's put it that way. We all like a little bit of extra attention every now and again, don't we? So that's fine. I'm also trying to keep in mind the fur direction here, because it is quite thick fur. The wolf is in motion. It's not just, you know, sat having its portrait taken. It is running, it is playing. There's wind effect. So I'm also sort of trying to make sure I get that effect from my fur. This animal is moving. Right, and then we have like a darker section just here. Morning, Faisal. How are you? Is today your last day of work before the festive season? Is it like? No, I guess not, actually. Sorry, I just automatic mindset. So when is your big holiday then? It's the last day before a 3-day weekend. Well, that's quite nice. But when is your big holiday then? Because obviously I'm not familiar with your holidays. I suppose I should find out for myself. You have a different calendar. Yeah, exactly. So I should educate myself on that. I know. It follows the moon cycle. Really? Okay. Use a bit of a darker brown. Just have a look at something. Just bear with me. So I'm just making soft markings now, just to sort of like undermarkings. Quite a dark section that sort of comes up here, doesn't it? It's like fur changes direction again. I've been spending today going to historical places. I'm sure you mean historical places, since I'm flying home at 9 p.m. UK time. Finished 2 and 1 more to go. Okay. Oh, is that one of the things that you put on Instagram? That train thing that you showed? Because that looked really interesting. I'm just currently chilling in my hotel room because I don't want to wake in the sun. Oh, fair enough. Oh, interesting. Okay. Morning, Jamie. I love looking around historical places. I just like that sense of what life being different. There's a big historical house to where we live that's open to the public, and you can go into all the individual rooms, and everything is laid out as it was in like the 1800s. And when you go in the kitchens, there are all these books laid out on the side under glass cases where they've been left open on certain pages, and you can see where everything that they bought was listed, and the prices, and how the cooks then took all those items of food and what they then made those items into. So every single drop, every crumb of flour was accounted for. I'm not muted, am I? I shouldn't be muted. I don't think I'm muted. Is that just you, Jamie? Thanks, Faisal. I didn't think I was. You just made me go into my settings then and just sort of check everything again. But everything is fine at this end. But yeah, every single crumb of flour. Well, yeah, exactly. I knew I was speaking to you, so I was like, no, what? But every crumb of flour was accounted for, so it was like they were so in control of that kitchen. So they knew how much, yeah, I knew it'd be your fault, Jamie, honestly. the kitchen had been allocated a certain amount of money by those above stairs to buy produce for the kitchen to obviously feed the families and for when they had big dinners and things like that. But then every item that came in was listed, and then that item was then listed again as to how much was used for each ingredient, how much was left over. And it was just so fascinating as to how strictly controlled that kitchen was. It was fascinating to look at and see. Morning, Artsman, how are you? But yeah, I love looking around historical places. We've got a few like World War II museums and things around us. When we lived in Surrey, of course, we had Hampton Court Palace, and that is an amazing place to look around. I think I looked around it a couple of times with Nick on our own, and then when my parents came to visit me once, I had to take them around because I knew they'd never been to a place like that. And they literally had, this palace was set up so you had the king's rooms and you had the queen's rooms. And when you go in the queen's entrance, it's all beautiful, these tapestries and things like that. When you go in the king's entrance of Hampton Court Palace, the stairwell is lined with guns and swords, and it's very much a sort of show of power when you walk in there. And it's just, I just find things like that is absolutely fascinating, just to sort of, it's just a peek into another world, isn't it? It's just, I love historical stuff. Did another sketch this morning. It's in the Discord. All right, let me have a look. Oh, that's cute. It's like a little warrior fairy with a ladybird. I love that. And the mushrooms in the background. You ought to put some colour in that and see what it looks like with colour. I think that would look, I mean, it looks amazing anyway, but I'd put colour in that just to sort of really bring it out to life, because I think the colours that you could get in that would just be gorgeous, gorgeous. One of the reasons I took my job is the chance of visiting random cities and villages. Wow, why not? Why not indeed? I love that. I remember Germany had tons of castles and such. Yeah, I mean, Germany is an amazing place for those, sort of Bavarian castles and things. You should ink it for sure. Yeah, it would be. I love it already, but I think because of the subject matter with this little warrior fairy down amongst the mushrooms and the grasses and everything, with the ladybird, I just think that the colour would really sort of bring it out. I live near some very historic places. Thankfully, they haven't changed it. Well, yeah, I mean, thankfully, I think a lot of the places in England, for sure, is if they, like grade 2 listed or whatever, they can't change it. But I love history. There's a lovely place in, if anyone ever ends up in Derbyshire, there is a lovely place there called the Heights of Abraham. And you go up this, morning Moose, you go up this cable car up the side of the mountain, and the views are worth it just for that alone. The views are absolutely amazing. But then at the top you go into there's a path that leads down through the caves, because obviously you go up a mountain and you go down these caves, and it is fascinating in there. Absolutely fascinating. And Derbyshire is full of these historic little villages. You've got Matlock, you've got Tutbury, Bakewell, where obviously cakes come from. Got to go somewhere where the cakes originate, haven't you? But yeah, there's some amazing places in Derby. I was really disappointed, because obviously I was born and raised in Nottingham. And in Nottingham, obviously, we have the castle. The castle is amazing. Go and have a look around that. But then they found out that we have this network of caves under the city. So you can go and do a tour of the Nottingham caves. But they've done this thing that I was like really disappointed, because they make this big thing about the Nottingham caves. Not catacombs, no, literally caves that were under the city. And they've tried to put, like, they used to have like a tannery under there and things, and they've put like these mannequins under there in clothes from old times. But it is so, I came out of it thinking it looked so cheaply done, and you could walk around it in 5 minutes. And yet they tell everyone there's this vast network that you should be able to have a look around. But you only get to see a tiny part of it. And it's filled with these mannequins. And it's very dimly lit. And you just go in there and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm underground. So what? There's nothing. I was so disappointed in the Nottingham caves. And yet I think that could have been made so much more. So, yeah, they spoilt it. They spoilt it in a way. So anyone from Nottingham, don't come for me. I come from Nottingham. I'm allowed to talk about my own city with my own opinions, blah, 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 blah. But I was disappointed in them. I mean, they may have changed them since then. It's been many, many years since I've been, because I went once and I was like, well, I'm not going back there again. And Nottingham has like this rich culture with like the lace heritage and textiles, and most of it is gone, which is a huge shame. Have you got any historical places near you, Artsman? Because you're in Florida, aren't you? Must be something near you. What about you, Moose? Anything historical? It's also in Nottingham, which is also a shame. Hey. Nottingham has some amazing places. Let me tell you, there is an Indian restaurant in Nottingham that is chef's kiss. It's called the Calcutta Club. If you ever make it to Nottingham and you are looking for a place to go for a meal out, you have to book, because it's very exclusive. And the food is amazing. The food is amazing. The service is amazing. Look up its reviews on TripAdvisor. I've been there. It's fantastic. But you go in and it's decorated like there's all this horse polo, we ride horses and play polo that way. All that sort of memorabilia all around the walls. And you go in and there's just this sense of history when you go in there, but then the food is fantastic. And I think they have a place next door that they also run. I think it's called the Maharaja's something. I can't remember, but go to the Calcutta Club. If you ever go to Nottingham and you want a really good meal, go to the Calcutta Club. There's a ton of old southern ruins and such, but we've only seen a tiny part of it. Oh, okay. Okay. Lots of history around where Moose is too. Cool. Excellent. A few castles and palaces. Oh, wow. I love looking around places like that. Right, I'm going to butcher this name. Castle Neuschwanstein? Neuschwanstein. Neuschwanstein Schloss. Schloss is German for castle? Is it? Like an hour drive from here. Amazing architecture and nature around. Oh, I bet. Is at that castle, Neuschwanstein, is that the famous one that you always get to see that always looks like Cinderella's castle? Worth a Google search. Yeah. Okay. Let me just do a quick Google so I can see it. It's the one that I'm thinking of in my head. Castle Neuschwanstein. Yes. I mean, it just looks amazing. You can have a guided tour. 19th century historical palace on the rugged hills of the foothills of the Alps in the very south of Germany, just north of Austria. A white limestone facade and deep blue turrets. Yes, rumoured to be the real-life inspiration for the castle in the Disney classic Cinderella. Yes, so that was the one I was thinking of. Cool. Schloss Neuschwanstein. My German accent is probably really shit. But I used to study German. I studied German for the language for 3 years in secondary school, which obviously was a very long time ago. But bits of it remains. We have a castle and also claimed Charles Dickens, even though he was born, not died, anywhere near here, so Dickens Festival is not far from me. That was really good, thanks. Okay, isn't Charles Dickens meant to be Portsmouth? I thought Charles Dickens was Portsmouth. I'm sure. Lots of Google searches today. Hang on. I have to know. As soon as I have these things, I just have to know. Charles Dickens, Portsmouth. Because I'm sure they've got a museum. Yes, they've got Charles Dickens Birthplace Museum in Portsmouth. I thought so. I thought I remembered seeing it when we went through to go to the Isle of Wight that time. Right, I think maybe come down and do this leg. Let me just lift off some of this pencil. Nymphenburg Palace is one of my favourites as well. Beautiful castle within the city. He was, but because he was raised near here, we claimed. People just claim anybody, don't they? Right, let me have a look at this other palace. I always say to Nick, I want to go to Germany. I just think it would just be amazing to go. Oh, that looks a lot more modern. That one. That's in Munich, isn't it? München. Nymphenburg Palace owes its foundation as a summer residence to the birth of the long-awaited heir to the throne, Max Emmanuel, who was born in 16... Oh, so maybe not so modern. Who was born in 1662 to the Bavarian Elector Ferdinand Maria and his wife Henrietta Adelaide of Savoy. It just looks really modern though. I think I'd like to go to Munich city boy, born and raised. Cool. I think I'd like to go to I'd like to do the Black Forest. I'd like to go like do one of those river cruises along the Rhine. I think that would be amazing. I'd love to visit the castles, but I just think just going around the various cities, I'd like to do like a big tour. So I'd do Munich and Berlin and I don't know why, but Dusseldorf is like, I want to do Dusseldorf. But just I just think that touring around Germany would just be fascinating to me, because I studied the language for 3 years and I enjoyed it. Because my secondary school teacher, who was our German teacher, he was born in, I think he said he was born in Berlin. That's not important. But anyway, he was, actually German. Don't wait to do those things. Time is a way of catching up to you. Yeah, I know. But the thing is as well, I mean, it's all about doing those things, but it's like, being able to afford those things, because to do Germany and tour all around Germany, that's going to be a lot of money, isn't it? A lot of money, a lot of history all around. Yeah. Especially with what happened about 100 years ago. Yeah, I mean, you've got all the stuff about the wars. You've got the, the old camps and everything, which I think would be really emotional to go around. But it looks a beautiful country. It looks a beautiful country. And I just, the thing I always have when I've been to foreign cities, well, abroad, and I can't read the language. You know, you just walk down your high street where you live naturally. You can read what's in the shops, you can read what's in the windows, you can read the signs, you can read the street names, you understand half price sale and all, you know, all the stuff that you see in shops and everything. But then you go to a city where, or you go to a country where you don't speak the language, and if I can't read, if I can't understand what I'm seeing in front of me, I get really, really frustrated. It really makes me really sort of twitchy and angry. I don't know why, because I rely so much on reading and understanding that I really struggle when I've been abroad and I can't read what it says in the shop, or I don't understand what it says in the shops or the street names or wherever I am. And I just find that really, really frustrating. Whereas I feel if I went to Germany, I feel I wouldn't have that, because I have a very, very basic knowledge of the German language. And I know that the construction of the language can be different depending on which parts of Germany that you're in. But I feel I'd have a basic idea, and I would feel a bit more relaxed being there because I'd be able to understand some of it. So, yes, I will do it. I will do it one day. I always say to Nick, we ought to just get one of those interrailing tickets and just go. It doesn't matter that we're old. Just get some interrailing tickets, go stay in some hostels. Who cares? But, yeah. It would be a fascinating place to go. One day, one day, one day, one day. Let me just clean this up a little bit. Tiny little claws here. So let's get those in. Hint of one there. You can always stay with Moose. Well, he can give me a tour. There you go. He can give me a tour. He doesn't want me moving in. But yeah, that would be great. I will let you know. Whenever I make it to Germany, I will let you know. Mostly in Bavaria since I grew up here, but I've been to Berlin and Cologne as well. Cologne. Lovely. Well, it's a plan then. Wherever I make it to make arrangements for my trip, I will get in touch and let you know. I've traced over the whole sketch with ink, and now I'm going to use marker for colour. Cool, excellent. Because I did the same thing yesterday when Natalie got me to do that doodle of the pack rat, and I just did that very sort of quick sketch. And then I was walking Rosie, and that doodle was staying in my head, and I was like, you know, I've got to do something with that. I've got to do something with that doodle. And I didn't know what. And I thought, okay, I will make a bigger version and sort of rearrange the items and everything. And so I just did a pencil. Let me get it out for those that didn't see it. I did a pencil sketch of it, and then I was like, it needs to have colour to it. So then I just went over it with ink, and I was still looking at it. I thought, no, it still needs something. And I thought, well, that original doodle, I put colour in it, so maybe it's colour that I need, but I didn't want to use pencils because I knew that would take absolutely forever. So I got out some very old, cracked watercolour paints that had dried up beyond belief, and sort of tried to sort of bring them back to life. And did the, for those that don't have me on Discord, created this. And you can see I'm not very good at watercolour, because look at all these silly lines and everything, and I've got splodgers here and everything. But it was good. And then I thought I was going to Google Natalie's book on 1699 slang, and I thought, well, I bet I'm not going to be able to see the pages inside. So instead I put in the "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" poem, seeing that we're close to Christmas, and put that on the pages. But yeah, I felt kind of happy that I got that doodle out of my head properly. There's my attempt at some Swiss cheese. I didn't really get any depth in that ball of wool, but it's just a doodle, right? It's not meant to have real detail. But I was quite pleased with the plant, because this was all done from imagination, so I didn't have a reference picture for this. I was just sort of like, I mean, you could tell because look at how bad those feet are. But yeah, it was fun. It was a fun little thing to do, something different. And yeah, I think if I was doing it a bit more professionally, I would put like some decoration in the wood, like some carvings in the wood or something, or maybe some more brightly coloured pots or whatever. But it's okay. It was just a fun thing to do. Funny enough, what you said earlier got me into learning so many different languages. I just love to interact with different people and cultures from all over the world. Oh, well, that's good. I have tried to learn different languages, but I don't know. I fall into German just easy. It's just like my brain works with German language. I've tried French, can't do French to save my life. I know bonjour and au revoir and merci and je m'appelle, and that is it. And of course Nicolette is a French name, so I thought, oh, I'll learn French. So but no, I got as far as je m'appelle Nicolette, and that was it. Obviously German I studied for 3 years. I tried to do Spanish, got very bored with it very quickly. So apologies to Spain. I once decided I wanted to learn Russian, because I thought that's a completely different alphabet. You have the Cyrillic alphabet, don't you? And I thought, so it's not even the same letters. That's going to be a real challenge and interesting to learn, but it was so difficult. So difficult. So yeah, so it kind of English and German, because like if Nick's watching like a World War II movie or something like that, and the actors are speaking it in German, I always sort of try and close my eyes and just sort of try and listen to it and see which words I can pick out to try and get the meaning of the sentence without looking at the subtitles on the screen. So I try and do that, and then I look at the subtitles to see if I'm right or nearly right. I'm generally nearly right. I'm like, okay, you were on the right track, but you weren't quite there. Because, like I said, I've forgotten a lot of it. But I liked what you did with that sketch. Thank you. Thank you. I enjoyed doing it. It was fun just to sort of expand on it and do something different, because I haven't used watercolor on here before. And I have done some watercolor pictures. I'll have to dig those out and show you. One thing I can tell you though, visiting those concentration camps is a very emotional trip. I bet. We visited Dachau with school in year 8 or 9, I believe, and that was already a very heavy experience. I can imagine. I want to go because I think it's important to go, but I think it's like I say, it's going to be a very emotional, traumatic, heavy thing for anyone to visit, no matter their nationality or religion. I saw some of those camps as a kid. Moose was born in Germany. My dad was stationed there. Oh, really? Oh my gosh. I never managed to visit the biggest one in Auschwitz because of that, even though I have family in Poland and the opportunity to visit was there multiple times in the past. Well, maybe you'll get there one day. I mean, you never know, do you? You never know. Saying it's a heavy experience is true. I think this is why, when we were talking about visiting historical places before, I think it's important to do that because you can learn so much from the past. Obviously, a lot of history is told by the victors. So when you read history, you have to think, okay, who is writing this and what is their reason for writing this? Don't just read it straight out and believe everything, because the same history told from the opposing team, shall we say, will be different on the same battle or the same event, because there is a different mindset to when that history was written. So I think it's always important to learn from the past, to inform our decisions in the future, but also be wary of who is presenting that past to you, if that makes any sense. German is very straightforward, hard to be fluent in if you didn't grow up with it. Yes. There is there's a YouTube channel. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, and I used to watch it religiously, where they would just interview people in the street. They would ask them questions in German, and then obviously they would give their answers in German, but they'll put the subtitles on the bottom to sort of try and help you learn. But they went to different areas of Germany, and so the construction of the sentences was slightly different. And so that is sort of problematic for me, because the way we construct a sentence and the order in which we put words is not the same way in which Germany or France put the words. So it can be confusing. You should try to learn Arabic then, definitely alphabet, and we write from the right to the left. Exactly, yes. That would be, because again, like you say, the Russian was the completely different alphabet, and the Arabic, learning to write Arabic, like you say, going from right to left, and the construction of the written word, that would be fascinating. I haven't been back to Germany, but yeah, that brings back memories. But when did you leave Germany, Artsman? How old were you when you left? 100%. It's one thing to learn about it in history class at school, but a totally different thing to see it in person. Well, I think as well, when you learn about it in school, you're removed from it, aren't you? You're being told about it, but to see it with your own eyes and be in the place where it actually happened brings a proximity and a closer relationship with what you're learning about. I think that's why when we watch the news, when you're watching the news and there's all these terrible things going off in other countries, it doesn't feel personal sometimes because it's so far away. But I think if you were actually there, then obviously the impact of that would mean so much more. And I think that's why, again, it's so important to go and visit these different sites where important things have happened, and experience them and realize the impact that it has had on real people. Because that's the other thing. You don't really get anything that's too personal. A lot of history is about kings and queens and emperors and dictators and things like that. But what about the normal person that just lived on the street or in the village or in the woods? You know, how did it affect them? I think it's important to look at all of the stories. You've got me on my soapbox now, people. The real truth is Britain won. Oh, Jamie. I knew there was going to be a comment at some point. Definitely a very oppressive feeling being there. Glad you brought it up. I had forgotten. But I hope it didn't bring up any bad memories. History is written by the victors is one of my favourite quotes. Well, I mean, absolutely. And I can remember having a wow moment when I first realised that. When I first heard that quote, history is written by the victors. Because you go through school and you learn history because you have history lessons, and the history is presented to you by teachers and they tell you this is what happened, these were the dates, this is what happened, these were the politics of the time, and you listen and you just accept, yes, this must be it. This must be it because this is what my history teacher is telling me, so therefore it must be true. And it is true from the point of view that they've been told. But what about, how would that history, same history, be presented by the other side? And it's just interesting to remember that, I think. That describes it very well, very emotional and heavy on your soul or mind. You were fairly young, so not sure. Oh, you were fairly young when you left, you think? Right, okay. It was hard for me to learn English because of the different alphabet and the fact it is written from left to right. Well, absolutely, because it's a complete mind shift, isn't it? It's an absolute complete mind shift. You're so used to one thing, and you suddenly have to completely change everything you've ever done. It's almost like rewiring your brain. A little bit of an elbow here, so I just want to make sure that goes in. Germany is actually very similar to the UK when it comes to regional accents and dialects. Yeah, exactly. There's a saying that I think it was a comedian, I can't remember which comedian said it, but they were very much like, you know, in Britain, you can travel for an hour in Britain and you'll come across a different accent. Whereas in America, you can travel for hours and hours and the accent's still the same because you're still in Texas, say, or you're still in wherever. And it's like, it's so true. The accent changes so much in Britain. Yeah, not in Florida. So in America, it's so vast. You can travel for hours and hours and hours and you are still in the same state. Whereas in England, you travel for an hour, maybe two. You're in a completely different county, and, you know, my accent is a mix of being in the south, but also Midlands, because for 24 years I was born in Nottingham, and my speech when I'd only lived in Nottingham was completely different. But since I've been living in the south, it's my accent has changed completely, but you can always tell when I've been speaking to my family up in the north, because if I've been speaking to them for about an hour, my accent changes because my speech will change with who I'm surrounded by. So when I used to have a boyfriend when I was 17 who was from Birmingham, and he had a very strong Brummie accent, and whenever I was around him, I would start talking with a Brummie accent because I just naturally pick it up. And then there was a girl who came to join our school. Her name was Cathy, and she was from Australia. And whenever I used to hang around with her, I'd start talking with an Australian accent. And I could hear myself doing it. And I used to think, I bet they think I'm taking the piss. But I wasn't. It was just, I just naturally hear it and I just accept it and start talking with it. So I guess if I hung around with any of you guys, whether if I spent hours in Faisal's company or Moose's or Artsman, I would probably start talking with your accent. And I would not be taking, trying to make a joke of it. It just naturally happens and I can't help it. But yes, I do have an accent, yeah. For my first studies, I went to Deggendorf, a town in the east of Bavaria, close to the Bavarian forest, and I had a hard time understanding the locals for the first few weeks or months. And it's only 130 kilometers away from Munich. Well, there you go. There you go. I'd probably start talking in yours. Well, there you go. Yes. Do you not think I have an accent then? James thinks I have a very... When I start talking on the phone to people that I don't know, I go very, very posh. I just can't help it. I just sort of go very, very posh. I go, yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yes, of course I can. Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, all right then. Bye. And it's like, I don't mean to do it. I just suddenly get ultra polite when I'm talking with strangers. When I was at school, because of this thing with accents, whenever we had drama classes, that's another thing, I'll get into that later. Whenever we had drama classes, if ever they needed someone to speak with a posh accent, they got me. They got me absolutely every time. And yeah, I think that's where Vince gets his accent from. Yeah, it's definitely Vince. But like I just said to you just then, so drama classes, class. Up north, my mum would take the mickey out of me for saying class, because up there it's class. It's class, it's bath, it's laugh, it's grass. Not bath, grass, laugh, class. So the accent changes. And you don't pronounce the TH with a th sound, it's f with a f sound, so bath. So, do you want to take a bath? That's how I used to speak. Do you want to take a bath? Or, let's go out and have a right laugh. That's how I used to speak, but since I've been southern, the accent's changed because that's what I'm surrounded by. I'm married to a southerner, and so all my children sound the same. And so when James was coming up with his Vince Watson accent, I think he might have borrowed it slightly from my my telephone voice. So the origins of Vince are in me. You do, but it's easy to understand. Sometimes I can't understand folks with accents. Well, I think people from like Scotland talk very, very fast. So people with like Glaswegian accents speak very, very fast. I can cope with it, but sometimes there are some people you really have to like, could you just slow down slightly because you speak so fast. It seems like the Vince Watson voice comes very naturally to James. Well, he's surrounded by it. You are the real Vince. Yeah. Yeah, I'm the real Vince. Vincina. Very much aware I don't feel like I've done much art today. I've been talking more than anything, but that's okay. It's Christmas. You're allowed to slack a bit at Christmas, aren't you? I feel now he's going to come down and say to me this evening, what did you say to everybody on stream today about you being the real Vince? I just feel like I'm going to get that now. Well, you know, the inspiration might have come from somewhere, James. I mean, where did you come up with that voice? Chit chat with Nick now. Yeah, I feel like maybe the category for today's stream ought to have been the just chatting category rather than art. But hey ho, it is what it is. I like having a chat sometimes. Right. Yes, well, you could always mute me if you wanted to, Jamie, you know. Clearly you muted your computer for some reason. Why was it muted? Why did you mute? I should take 20% of James's earnings for your credit. That's a good idea, Faisal. That is a damn good idea. Now, why didn't I think of that? It's like he's using my license, he's using my IP license of my posh voice for the Vince Watson. So, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, for those who just watch this on YouTube, my son James has an RP character in NoPixel called Vince Watson in GTA. And he's a very sort of posh criminal. A posh sounding criminal. So, there we go. Or just fire him. Accent tax. That would be hilarious. How do you think he's going to react if I said that to him? Hey James, you know all that money that you earn? Well, I've been talking to my chat and they reckon that I ought to have 20% of it. How do you think he's going to react? I don't think that's going to go down very well. I would never ask him for that. Right. Is he an actor then? No! No, he is not an actor. It's GTA, so it's Grand Theft Auto, but there's it's on this, like, in NoPixel. It's almost like a role play. So you have like this character, kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, but for criminals and thieves. In this city, I can't even remember what the city is called. And James is part of a group called the Mandem, though I think they've been disbanded at the moment and they're about to come back together again, aren't they? 4.0 or something? Something like that. I don't know. I can never keep track of the storylines. And James plays this bearded, red, bowler-hatted character called Vince Watson, who is part of the Mandem. And he owned a very nice tailor shop once. Los Santos. Thanks, Moose. Los Santos. I knew it was something like that. It was Los something, but I thought it's not Los Angeles. But it's a bit like Los Angeles. He had a very nice tailor shop that was based on the Kingsman. Where I think you could get like bulletproof suits and things like that. Which I was very impressed with. But I think all that's gone now. You agree with Faisal just for the reaction? Well, maybe. Right. Okay. I'm going to leave it there. it's been great fun this morning. If you're going to do that, don't mention name. I don't need to be timed out. Okay. Zipped. I won't say that it came from you, Faisal. I'm not sure everyone else won't mention you, but I won't mention it, okay? But yeah, so anyway, it's been great fun this morning. I know we haven't done much art, and I apologise if you come here for the art and we've actually been talking more about things. But you know what? It's been a lovely chat this morning, and I've really enjoyed it. It's pretty much a real-life simulation within a video game. Exactly. Where everyone portrays different characters and they somewhat create a series to watch for people on the stream. Yeah, exactly. Well explained. Thanks, Moose. Right, okay. So, have a great day, everybody. Today was fun. Thank you for that. I needed a chill stream. Oh, you're welcome, Faisal. You're very welcome, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. Obviously, within the realms of GTA, it's a lot of criminals and civilians. And yeah, and getting banned for something to do with a cop car. I heard something. I don't know. It was banned for 24 hours. I don't know, something. But anyway, thank you for joining me. Thank you for all your chat. And oh, is that his new emote? Is that the new emotes that he got, Jamie? I thought they were very, very cute. Yes. Don't think you was meant to say that. What about being banned? Oh well. Very cute for a criminal. Exactly. They are so cute. I really like those. He showed them to me a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't know that he'd put them up yet, but cool. They're really clear as well, aren't they? They're really artistic. Perhaps that's what we should be doing, artsmen, you and me, designing emotes and selling them. We should do something like that. I could sell my mouse. I could do my little mouse and do him or his rat, whatever. But anyway, I keep getting distracted. Right, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I've had a lovely time, a lovely chat. It's been great fun. We've done a teeny tiny bit of art, but the company has been much better. So thank you guys for joining me. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you here tomorrow for our final stream before Christmas, I think. Is that correct? Are we on Thursday today? We are Thursday today. So yes, so tomorrow will be the final stream before Christmas. So take care, everybody. Have a fabulous day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.